About a month ago, maybe a bit more than that, I bought what seemed like a super bargain mega bargain super amp, however way around it goes. This is a Peavey ValveKing VK112. If you saw, I've got a very similar one. I've got a ValveKing Royal 8. I think the 8's for the 8-inch speaker. It's like 5 watt, I think. Wee mini thing, volume, gain, and a tone control in it, which actually sounds pretty good for what it was. Well, I did take it up to Scots and it sounded horrendous at really low volumes. It works okay when you've got it up loud, which kinda, it's like, oh, buy a wee 5 watt valve amp, and one of the main problems with your wee 5 watt all tube amps is they're bloody loud. So the idea that, oh, that means I'll be able to get, you know, big amp sounds, you know, I'll be able to crank it and stuff and it'll still be quite quiet. No. When you saw me in the studio with that wee valve, the Royal 8, running it in the studio for a 4x12 and playing on with a band, no bother, and it wasn't even at full bung. It sounded pretty good at that volume. But it's one of those things that the idea of the simplicity sounded great, but I think the main problem with these things is it just needed to be. You do get ones that have got like a 1 watt and a half watt switch in the back. Maybe that's the thing you want. Or I think there's just an element of, you know, to get the actual speaker pumping, you need to be at a certain volume. That's where the wee things like, if it's sitting in the hall, the wee Black Star ID core is fantastic at. You can have that at the volume I'm talking at just now, and it sounds like a real guitar. Whereas any, even the big, you know, the that's not even a big amp, it's only a 15 watt. Even that can't compete. It works. You can turn the volume right down so it's quite quiet, but it doesn't sound as good as the wee Black Star does at really quiet volumes. It's when you get it up to, you know, cooking, it starts to kick ass. The wee Black Star Fly is amazing for that as well. The wee tiny battery operated one. It's like I can play at whisper volume, but it sounds like a guitar. It doesn't sound like you're kind of, you know, you're like if you're driving like, you know, like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari through the Asda car park at 2 mile an hour. It's kind of like it doesn't want to be doing that. I mean, the wee Panda's fine for it, but it doesn't mind driving about really slowly. The Land Rover was amazing at driving really slowly, but it's like, you know, like the Ferrari wants to be doing 150 mile an hour. It doesn't want to be sitting there in traffic lights doing 10 mile an hour and stuff like that. You know, that's kind of what it's like playing these sort of amps in here, or something like that, which you really can't even turn it on in here, to be honest. It's just so flipping loud, it's ridiculous. As a buy, so what I'm doing today is, when I said I thought this was a super mega bargain, the guy sold it to me with a fault that he said it cut out one time at a gig, and when he was in the start of Brown Eyed Girl, he said, which is understandable. It just went, no, I'm not playing Van Morrison, I'm going to kill myself. And he said he could never replicate why it cut out, but because he was running a pedal board and stuff, he wasn't sure whether he maybe just tripped over a cable or something like that. So if you're using a wedding band, immediately your first thing is, amp's cut out, backup amp, or straight into the desk, or whatever it was he did immediately, and then forgot about it, then tried to make it do it again, and it never did it again. So what happened was, I brought it home, I had it sitting up there. I'd had to take the soft take away because it was a bit big. Playing with it all night. I normally sit in that wee amps. I'll turn it off actually. That wee amp sits on for most of the day or whatever when I'm kicking about. I just have it there and I pick up the guitar and play it all the time. I did the same thing with that, and I turned it on. I don't know what. When did I get back home? Was it dark? I think it was like 5 o'clock or something like that. I had it on all night and I was messed about with it, seeing what it could do. And then about midnight or something, maybe not as late as that, 11 o'clock at night, I was playing it, I'm doing quite quiet, and then it started going meh. I was like, oh, okay, I'll turn that off. And I looked in the back, and one of the valves was roasty, toasty hot. You could make toast on it, and glowing. But it's called red plating apparently. Where the valve, the metal bit inside the valve was pure red hot. And I'm like, oh, that's annoying. So I basically turned it off, forgot about it, and then I started looking up this thing, and apparently it's to do with it's not normally a big thing. It's biasing. I don't really know what biasing is, but apparently that's the issue. And then I started talking to Ollie at Frettronics, who's a great guy. I was up here. Yeah, I've got this Peavey amp. I'm kind of in a bit of a quandary because like a set of valves is going to cost more than I paid for the amp. So it's like I don't want to buy. If that's what's wrong with it, then it's probably worth it. I don't want to, you know, I'm already out of pocket because it doesn't work, to be doubly out of pocket and have, if you know, it's really annoying. It's like if I've just paid full price for it, it'd be fine. I think these are about 200, you see them on eBay for 150, 200 quid. If I'd paid that for it, paying 40 or 50 quid to get the valves done or to get it fixed, doesn't seem that much, but when it's the 40 or 50 quid costs more than what the amp did, it's like, yeah. So, what I'm doing just now is, earlier on I was looking it up and I was thinking of buying valves and looking at the SovTech valves that are in this actually. And I've got a SovTech amp with Marshall valves in it, so I don't know what's in the Laney. Peavey valves maybe? Make it like a bit of a loop. So what I've done is I've taken the cage off the back where the two bits of one of the power valves was glowing red hot, and it said it's, quite often the problem with red plating is because it's just a bad connection on the inside, you know, like a badly clamped down valve socket or something. So I was like, right, well, okay, what I'll do is I'll take the wee cage off and I'll swap the valves over and see what happens. So I did that, turned it on, and unfortunately I didn't pay attention to when I took the valves out. I'm totally 90% sure, 95% sure it was the one on that side that was glowing red hot. So I put them back on again, swapped them in, played it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then it was the same valve started glowing, but not the same position. So it was no longer in that position, it was this position. Started doing the red thing, and I was like, oh. That kind of makes me think it's probably just the valve that's gone. If one of the valves, you know, you've got what, valve A and valve B here and here, and valve A has got an issue with it, and then you swap them over, and then valve A, it's still the same valve that's got an issue with it. You think, well, it's the valve, isn't it? So I thought, right, okay, so I did started doing the red plating thing after 10 minutes. And then, so I was like, did I actually definitely swap the two of them over? So I let it cool down. Obviously they were red hot. Let it cool down for half an hour and swap the valves back to what I think is the original position. And I've now been playing this thing for about an hour, and it's not doing it again. It's really annoying. So I figured I might as well just video me playing it. Assuming if it works. It's just that the whole fear, and I've got the back off, and the reason I'm standing behind is it so I can look at it and see if it starts doing it again. Because if I you can damage things, or it might go on fire or explode or something. I don't think it'll go on fire and explode. So this is a 50 watt 1x12 amp, and you think 50 watt all tube 1x12 amp, that's going to be a belter of a giga amp, and it's not that heavy. It kind of weighs less than the SovTech head does, because it's made of Russian steel. This is a Chinese made thing, made in America. I'm sure it says China on the back somewhere. Product of Peavey Electronics, Massachusetts, USA, built under patents, designed in USA, made in China. It's got 6 L6 GC valves in it, which are big valves. I don't think they're the same valves that are in, not that I ever really go into valve amps very much. But it now no longer seems to be doing the red tubing thing, so I'm going to keep this out and keep it running. It's got a dial in the back for texture. So it's got, to the left it's class A, in brackets low power. To the right it's class A/B, full power. And then it's got a resonance tighter loose button. I'll try pressing that. And a foot switch input. And I got a foot switch with it, which was actually, to be totally honest, when I found it wasn't working, I was like, well, the foot switch is probably worth a tenner. So it's kind of I've clawed some money back, but the foot switch doesn't work. Or it does work, but it seems to cut in and out between the two channels. So I've got my foot switch from elsewhere. I mean, there's so little in a foot switch. It's got to be the cable. There's got to be a break in that cable. Really, doesn't there? So it's just a case of putting a new cable on it, or probably cutting the cable in half and just making it shorter, because it's got 20 feet worth of cable on it. Yeah, so it's going to be quite loud, just because I'm trying to make this valve glow red hot. If it doesn't, it's really annoying. I kind of want it to, so that I know there's something wrong with it. Yeah, so I've been sitting listening to Backtooth Flocks there on YouTube, talking about this Yamaha, which is very similar to the one I've got. I need to look into it a bit more. I still don't know about that Yamaha, the RGX one, because I'm pretty sure it's a 2022, a 2002 model, so it's 20 years old. I figured it was like a couple of years old because it looks pure brand new, but it's obviously been bought, played for 6 months, stuck in a case and forgotten about for 20 years or 19 years. So it's actually a vintage guitar, so I'm not sure how it fits into the ERG thing. There seems to be I'm not really sure. I don't think, it's not that cheap a guitar. So I looked it up. The RRP for it at the time was, I looked it up when I was with Scott. I can't remember whether I put that video up or not. It was like 220 quid or something new in 2002, and if you scale that up, it's like a £350 according to inflation now. I'm gonna have to start having a look at that inflation calculator, because I was looking up some things, and some things make a little bit more sense. Like, see, I looked up the Pantera, which I'm gonna get round to, and it was 379 quid, 389 quid, something like that, in 1986. I was like, alright, okay, so £400 guitar, yeah, okay, yeah. And then you put in the inflation calculator, it's like 1,400 quid, and you're like, ah. So quite a lot of these guitars I've got that I'm classing as being, oh, this is miles better than a, you know, like a Fender or the cheaper Gibsons and all that sort of thing. It's because it cost more. But then you can pick them up for peanuts now. Not peanuts, but I mean, so you're talking about, you know, it's like, oh, you can buy that, or for the same price I'm going to sell it for, you can buy a classic Vibe Strat. So you're buying, you know, like a £500 classic Vibe Strat, that's lovely. Or you're buying a £500 West Tone, but you're not, you're buying a £1,200 West Tone made in Japan. So it's like, there is a variance in there, and I'm not even starting doing this yet, so I don't even know what I'm on drive. That'll be the drive sound. It's quite noisy when you stand with single coils right next to the amp, doesn't it? Clean! And loud. I'm just figuring if it's loud, it's more likely to make the valve glow hot. Is it? It's got reverb in it as well. But one of those reverbs, it's a wee Bellcat unit sitting in the bottom, it's only that size, like a spring reverb. Which happens with a lot of reverbs. That's me at like 1 or something, and it's already super. I'll put it up to full just to see what it does. Right down to barely on. Is it off? I will be checking every 30 seconds or so to see if it's going to go on fire. Really, far too loud. It's lunchtime, so I'm sure my neighbours hear me most of the time anyway. Look at that dial, which went from class A to class B. That's it fully at class AB, which says full treble on it. Fully class A. Halfway. Seems to be slightly better, fully right, that's what it is just now. And then the other one was tight and loose, so that's it. I'm no good with sound. What is that? That's it at out, so that's it tight. doing something. There's definitely, when you press it, it goes, so. Maybe a wee slightly better that way around. That's a bright channel. Whoa. Certainly does make it brighter. Right, and I've got the foot switch in so I can put on distortion, which is set to whatever it was set at. I'm getting a bit of noise, but you shouldn't really be standing 6 inches away from an amp. And it's also got a boost. The foot switch, instead of turning on and off the reverb, it's like a 2-button one. It turns on the gain channel and it turns on and off the boost. Disconcerting having Blacktooth sitting there looking at me the whole time. I'll maybe not do that. It really can't kill the telly sound, can it? It sounds totally like a telly. Yeah, so it doesn't seem to be heating up again. I'm actually wondering, see, I know it's like, if you look, and I looked up the manual, it's like, leave at least 1 foot of space round about the amp for, you know, so it doesn't overheat, and you're like, well, not leaving a foot behind the amp. So, because of where it was sitting, I had it pretty much sitting up against the wall, you know, like maybe, however the power in, maybe an inch away from the wall, and there's no vents along the top of this, right? So I'm wondering if the reason it overheated was purely because it was like, you know, like having a heating element and then just blocking off all the air round about it. I'm still not 100% sure that's not what happened. So I think what I'm going to have to do is, I kind of don't want to spend any money fixing it until I know it's definitely burst, because it's possible it was just something dirty inside it. I mean, if I took the valves out, I did give them a squishy contact cleaner and kind of pushed them in and out a couple of times, so I wonder if maybe I've fixed it. I don't know, I don't trust the thing at all. Well, I'll take it in the studio one time. Next time I'm in the studio, I'll take it in and run it for, see if it does a 3-hour rehearsal. And just keep checking to make sure it's not glowing red hot between songs. I don't hear any problems with it just now. And it sounds really good. Trying to get to the sort of volume I would normally play it at in here. That doesn't seem to be a particularly good foot switch out. It seems to be a wee bit of a delay when you volume down. Turn the volume down, can you? Oh, there's 2 inputs. Input 2. Oh. Input 2 must be for, oh, it'll be for active and passive, won't it? The volume's much lower. fact, I think the cheaper one, the 8, the ValveKing Royal 8 has 2 inputs as well. I think one of them is like for passive and one's for active. They don't say passive or active on it. I think it's one of those things, well, this one's got like a bit of a pad on it, you know, like a -10 decibel pad, whichever one you think sounds better, as opposed to being, oh, active, you have to go in here, passive, you have to go in here. It's like it's more of a guide. Actually, being cynical, my reason for thinking that might be done, I bet you it only cost about an extra £1 to put that in. So it'll just be like a socket and a resistor or something. That's probably all it is. So it's like, oh, we can put another feature in for £1. Yeah. But it's quite interesting. I might actually go and get. Just give me. Pause it. Actually, be a bit cleverer. Pause it. Dude, I would have been quicker not to bother pausing it and actually just going. The problem is I'm not sure if there's stuff sitting on top of it. 2 secs. Yeah, this lead, I think I need to put another end on this lead. So there's the smaller one, and for how much this is, in fact it probably says in the back, I think this is 5 watt, Class A L-tube, Royal 8. Doesn't say, did it say on it how many watts it is? I think it's 5. But I had a wee bit of a conjuring when I was looking at this and thinking, right, well, it's only got an 8-inch speaker, which is pretty wee. And it kind of has to be up loud to work a little bit, and it's like, well, if only I had an EQ, I could sort it out a little bit using the Marshall Governor pedal. And I was like thinking, oh, I could put like an EQ pedal built into it, and I was like, you know, I could do the wee speaker's about wee, and it's like 40 quid for like a Celestian or something internal speaker. I don't think that says anything on it at all. Completely no name. The one on the big one is actually a ValveKing by Peavey amp speaker. So I was thinking, you know, this one is like, I can't really make it. I was like, well, the first thing I did was I put an external speaker socket on it so I could run it through the 3x12, which made a big difference. It really did. But again, didn't really make it any quieter. And I was thinking, right, well, I could put it in a bigger box to put a bigger speaker in it. I can't really do that. I don't want, there's a lot of effort in that. Don't really want to be going into the circuit and adding in EQs and stuff. All these things cost money. I was like, I could make it into a wee head, but I mean, because the valves kind of stick down and the transformer stick down to there anyway, I could cut it to that size, so it would be that much smaller, but then it wouldn't have the option of having a speaker in it anyway. Yeah, I was kind of looking at it, and then I was thinking about it, and then just like literally a couple of days later, I was like, bang, this popped up, and it's not that much physically bigger, really. Looking at the two of them sitting on top of each other, you know, it's 10 times the power. It's got, well, that's got 3 knobs on it. This has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's got 10 knobs. So it's twice the size, 10 times the power, 3 times as many knobs, and it's only that much bigger. And it's got a 12-inch speaker in it. Also, this has got reverb and channels switching and a boost button and a bright switch and all these things. So, you know, doing the sums, it's like, well, sell that, buy that. And it doesn't seem to be doing anything wrong either. I'm not saying I trust it. I mean, it's going to be staying on. It's not going to be going back up there. It's going to be staying on for the rest of the day anyway. I think I'll put it against the wall, like the front of the amp against the wall, and just have it on and play it every now and again, just to see if it is going to. Because I know the idea of just, you know, fixing it, but it's because I don't know anything about them. Whereas like a guitar, it can be something really stupidly simple. You know, it's like, the guitar's not working, and I'm like, it's just like one wire's just touching somewhere, it's just not quite a good solder connection, just sort that out, or a bit of dirt. That might be all that's wrong with it. I think that might be all that was really wrong with this. Maybe a little bit, with amps of this sort of size, it's borderline that you could have this in a house. You know, it's like, and if it was a gigging amp, it was getting moved about an awful lot, you know, it's like, there is a difference between like a road amp and a house amp, and just if you're sitting, I think there's an element of if you're sitting using it every week or every day, or that amp's on every day, you know, if you're using it every day or every week or something like that, it'll keep it going. Whereas if you have it sitting for 6 months. Also, I'd imagine this has been COVIDized, so it's probably not been used properly in a year and a half, 2 years. It's just been sitting in possibly a garage or in a hallway or in a cupboard or something. So all these things can be to their detriment. But I might be turning into a bit of a Peavey fanboy. If this lives and doesn't need any work on it, it was pure bargain of the century for an amp. It's slightly bigger. It's not the sort of thing I'd say that if you're on the bus or something like that carrying that, it would be a pig, and I bet you, although it's not heavy, that's fine. Anyone who's ever tried to, when I started playing the guitar, walking around to my pal's house carrying the 10 watt, these things get heavy after a couple 100 yards. And something like that, I mean, taking it out to the car, no problem. You want me to walk 300 yards with it? Really? That's like, I reckon it's one of those ones that at the start you probably manage 100 yards and then it'd be, swap onto the left hand, and then you probably manage another 75 yards and then it would be swapped back over 50 yards, and then it would be, once you get to a certain point, you'd end up trying to carry it like this because your arms are both sore, and then you would be stopping for a rest, and then you would be swapping hands every 2 seconds. I'll take that as a sign to end. I shall rock on, catch you later. Get the phone call. So what the, it's making things vibrate. Hold on. Yeah, so I'll call her back in 2 seconds. I do like being in demand though. Yeah, so yes, Peavey ValveKing. Can't really do a proper demo of it because I'm still not trusting it. I'm still looking at the valves every now and again to make sure they haven't blown up. But if the valves don't blow up, I think it's a pretty good amp for what I want. And even the distortion channel, which is not something I would really be using. It does seem to have a lot of noise, but holding a Telecaster up to it, there's no noise if you're not standing right in front of the amp. You wouldn't be standing there anyway. It's a stupid idea. I would pretty much only be using the clean channel. Well, maybe not if I was playing live. Nah, I'm not really sure how to do it, but normally if I was in the house, it would be sitting there, clean channel, like the way the Laney does, and then I've got 2 pedals and a loop pedal, which I would use for distortion. You can't. Does it have an effects loop? Actually, that's a good question. I would say no, it doesn't have an effects loop. That would be something I would have expected on it. It's got an effects loop on the front. So maybe you could run a loop pedal in the effects loop. Would that work? So you could get like distortion. You could play like a clean backing track, and then put a distortion like in the effects loop, and then put a distortion in front of it. Would that work? I'm not really sure how it works. Would the distortion come from the set? I need to try that. Because that's really pretty much the only reason I've got pedals at all. I'm quite happy just with a distorted sound and a clean sound, but I need to. After messing about with the loop pedal, I need to have both. I need to be able to switch between them, and I need to be able to switch between them clean. Sounds really good. I wonder if maybe not having the speakers against the wall was maybe making it sound much better than it is, because it's got air all the way around it. Okay, super long video, but I didn't really do anything. But anyhow, rock on and catch you all later.